If God called the Israelites a stubborn people, what would he say about us? If there was one man in a stubborn nation who found grace in God's sight, how many of us have found that same grace? Let's look at Exodus 33. Why did God say that he could not go up with the Israelites? The Lord said to Moses, "Go and leave this place, you and the people whom you brought up out of the land of Egypt. Go to the land I promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, when I said I'll give it to your descendants. I'll send a messenger before you. I'll drive out the Canaanites, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Go to this land full of milk and honey, but I won't go up with you, because I would end up destroying you along the way, since you're a stubborn people." Why did the people remove their fancy jewelry? Was it because they'd misused their jewelry before in crafting an idol? Even before the Lord said these harsh things, he had told Moses, "These people really are rebellious, and I would kill them at once if I went with them. But tell them to take off their fancy jewelry, then I'll decide what to do with them." So the people started mourning, and after leaving Mount Sinai, they stopped wearing fancy jewelry. What exactly was the tent of meeting, and what was it for? Now Moses used to take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, far off from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. And everyone who sought the Lord would go out to the tent of meeting, which was outside the camp. Whenever Moses went out to the tent, all the people would rise up, and each would stand at his tent door and watch Moses until he'd gone into the tent. When Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stand at the entrance of the tent, and the Lord would speak with Moses. What would Moses do after meeting with the Lord there? As all the people saw the pillar of cloud remaining at the entrance to the tent, they would stand up, then bow in worship, each one at the door of his tent. The Lord spoke with Moses face to face, just as a man speaks with his friend. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his assistant, the young man Joshua, son of Nun, would not leave the inside of the tent. What questions did Moses have for the Lord after those disappointing events? Moses told the Lord, "Look, you've told me bring up this people, but you haven't let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you've said I know you by name, and also you've found favor in my sight. Now if I've found favor in your sight, please show me your ways, so that I may know you in order to find favor in your sight. And remember, this nation is your people." How did God answer Moses' plea? Did one man in a stubborn nation find grace in God's sight? And he said, "My presence shall go with you, and I'll give you rest." And he said to him, "If your presence doesn't go with me, don't carry us up from here. For wherein shall it be known here that I and your people found grace in your sight? Isn't it in that you go with us? So shall we be separated, I and your people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth." And the Lord said to Moses, "I'll do this thing also that you have spoken, for you have found grace in my sight, and I know you by name." What did Moses then ask of God? Why can a man not see God's face? Could other places where men did see God's face be referring to the pre-incarnate Son of God and not God the Father? Then Moses said, "I pray you, show me your glory." And he said, "I myself will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of Yahweh before you, and I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show compassion on whom I will show compassion." But he said, "You cannot see my face, for no man can see me and live." How did God protect Moses from seeing his face? Then the Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me, and you shall stand there on the rock, and it'll come about while my glory is passing by, that I'll put you in the cleft of the rock, and cover you with my hand, until I've passed by. Then I'll take my hand away, and you'll see my back, but my face shall not be seen. If God called the Israelites a stubborn people, what would he say about us? If there was one man in a stubborn nation who found grace in God's sight, how many of us have found that same grace? You decide.